Hi there, and welcome to another Captain Frandad video. I want to start this video by looking at some recent press articles heralding the launch of Gears 5, which is the latest release in the Gears of War series. And it's attracted a lot of attention for including 19 pride flags in the multiplayer section of the game for players to choose and display. This is an article from VG247 and it starts off saying Gears 5 says LGBT rights. The sequel's multiplayer lets you fly your flag as a banner in multiplayer, allowing you to show off your identity. It doesn't care if your identity is liking Sea of Thieves, there's a flag for that, and I don't like it, big time, or if you're a part of the LGBT community. There's a flag for people who are gender fluid, and there's one for people who identify as poly. Pretty much everyone is represented. In all, there are 19 different pride flags representing the umbrella that is the LGBT community. It's great to see. Best of all, they're not locked behind a paywall. You can craft any of the flags via play. I will come back to that. PC Gamer says Gears 5 welcomes all players with 19 LGBT pride flags. Gears 5 is already the most progressive game in the series. Granted, that's a pretty low bar to vault over. The fact its campaign lets you play as former sidekick Kate rather than a balloon-armed superroided man is already a step in a more inclusive direction. Windows Central. Gears 5 features dozens of pride flags in multiplayer. It starts off, here's a heartwarming story to brighten your morning. As people on Twitter are discovering, Gears 5 features dozens of pride flags in its multiplayer, instead of being limited to the usual rainbow flag. The Coalition, who went above and beyond what developers normally do, if they do at all, and ensured nearly everyone in the LGBTQ plus community was represented, because everyone deserves representation. Not sure I agree with that statement, because not everyone needs representation. Personally, never felt the need for myself to be represented in a video game, partly because I see video games as an escape from the everyday, not a duplication of it. But that's probably a discussion for another time. Now, when I first heard of this, I have to say I had some very mixed feelings on it, because in the past there's been quite a bit of toxicity around certain gamers' attitude towards the opponents in multiplayer. And the one I can think of most recently is a group of players being permanently banned from Fallout 76 for not only targeting players in multiplayer who they thought were LGBTQ, but also because the language they were using over their microphones was, to be frank, downright offensive. You look at some of the comments that have been left on these websites and you can begin to see the aggression and animosity directed towards this particular move. Brian Stanley, is this really necessary? Dark Knight 116, not at all, just further attempts at forcing our society to conform to an agenda, and it's working to a degree. There are definitely people who will continue to challenge this stuff, and going by the ratings of Chappelle's new stand-up special, that's Sticks and Stones and available on Netflix, highly funny by the way, plenty of people are sick of it, but largely the minds of the youth are being brainwashed, and when they make decisions don't realise that their thoughts were fed to them. Yeah, right, okay, paranoia running rampant in that one. Hispanic, you're beyond delusion if you think this agenda is anything other than good, if you can even call it that. We look at the PC Gamer comments, very similar ilk. I like, well, this one here is an interesting one. I like how everyone likes to say the LGBTQ people are sensitive snowflakes, yet all it takes is an in-game rainbow and look at all the manly men crying. This shows how dumb the pandering is. Now all we're missing is MAGA flags, BLM flags, virtual signalling, cough cough. VG247 comments, very much of the same ilk. That kind of reaction is the sort of reaction that I did kind of fear a little bit, because I've seen enough on social media to be aware that that kind of reaction is out there.
And crush the enemy.
But the other thing that concerned me a little bit was the thought that if people were carrying these flags around with them in the multiplayer section of the game, it would make them targets. And I'd already seen one comment on a YouTube video saying, oh, well, I know who I'm going to target now when I see them in multiplayer. And you could well imagine that these same news outlets that's praising this inclusion would start to run articles accusing gamers of being homophobic, aggressive, and targeting people because of their sexuality and the pride flag that they're carrying around. Having said all of that, I then went and actually played the game in multiplayer, and the footage that is now running in the background is taken from a live arcade match. And as you can see from this footage, you cannot actually see what flag an individual has chosen. And so far, the only time I have seen another player's flag is when the most valuable player, the MVP, has been selected at the end of a battle, and they are shown with their banner next to them. So, what does this tell me? Well, it tells me that much of that reaction we've seen on those websites is totally over the top, unfounded, ill-informed, and completely off the mark. It tells me that the way in which the coalition have implemented these pride flags is very much for people to make a personal choice that suits them when they are playing the game, and if it makes them feel represented in the game, then fair enough. As I said earlier, I'm not someone who feels the need to see myself represented. Some might call that because I'm benefiting from white privilege. Right. That's another term which at some point I'll come to address. But clearly there are people who have a particular view of their identity and want to see themselves represented. And these flags in Gears of War 5 or Gears 5 gives people the opportunity to feel that way. And frankly, having seen the way the game plays, good luck to them. If that makes them feel included in the game, great. If that means that they are going to be in the queue for multiplayer so that when I log on, I've actually got people I can either team up with or battle against, great. I think actually the way the coalition has done this has been quite clever, because it really does make people expose themselves in terms of their bigoted views and their misunderstanding and dislike and distrust of somebody who is different, and in a way it enables people to be called out for their stupidity and bigotry. So my initial concerns when I first heard of these flags have been absolutely dismissed completely, and I do look forward to continuing to play multiplayer against whoever is in the game, whether they're playing a Pride flag, a Sea of Thieves flag. There's even a Forza Horizon 4 flag in there, for heaven's sake, which I might use myself, because I do quite like that game. But what those flags are not, they're not meant to be realistic representations of in-game factions set in the time of the game. They are very much for the player to customise their own character and to express themselves in whichever way they feel. My final comment, though, goes back to that article which said there is no paywall behind which these are set, and that these flags have to be crafted. But as you can see, these banners do need 100 currency units to unlock, and I have so far only been able to acquire 5 of those. I'm not sure how I got those or how quickly they accumulate, but on that basis, it could take quite a long time, a lot of gameplay, just to unlock one banner. So I don't know when people will start to unlock these and when we'll start to see them appear in game, but I haven't seen any in use so far. What I'm also not sure about is whether the currency to unlock these banners is purchasable through the in-game store. I know that the iron in the top right, which I've got 250 of, is an item you can buy from the store. But let's have a look at the store. You can see there's lots of cosmetic items to unlock for iron, including our own flags. But then you get to these iron packages where you can see cost real money to buy. So like most games these days, there is a microtransaction store in there, but there doesn't appear to be a way of buying the currency that's needed to purchase those flags. If we look at the banners that I've got unlocked, you can see there's a cog banner, the Phoenix Omen banner, and the Swarm banner, which is self-explanatory, and the Halo and Terminator Dark Fate ones come through the Ultimate Edition. I presume the first wave banner is because I'm playing early access before general release, and you can start to see that there are other themes in there. At the moment I'm choosing to run with the Omen banner for COG characters and the Swarm banner for my Swarm characters. There are the three Forza banners, Horizon 4, Motorsport 7 and Street. Played all of those games and my favourite is most definitely Forza Horizon 4. So I might play that one. Hellblade Senua banner. That's a very chilling game. We get the garbage Sea of Thieves again. And there's also the State of Decay 2 banner with a few that I don't recognise. So as you can see, these banners are not really canon for the game and the campaign and the history of Gears of War. They are very much a personal customization choice. And I think in that context, the 19 Pride flags have their place. They do. People want them. They're there. How long it takes to unlock them, well, that's another story. And that's something that we'll have to explore as we go through the multiplayer career. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe to the channel, press the like button and hit the bell for notifications of further videos in the future. Thank you again for watching. Have a good day. Bye.